Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and navigate to this page and watch this abridged version of my presentation. My name is Rodney Bowden. I am the general manager of the Collective Sedona, and this is an opportunity for those of you who didn't have the chance to come and experience the P.A.D. amendment workshops that we held on January 11th and January 17th in person, and to give you a quick run through of the presentation that I put together. Obviously, since this was created, we have had a couple rounds of community input and discussion, and so along the way, I will do my best to try and convey the main points of what we came up with as a group or as a collective, so to speak. Without further ado, I will take you into the agenda. This is the list of everything that we'll be covering today. Again, this will be a much more abridged version of the presentation. We won't be having the discussion, and I'm going to be getting through it as quickly as I can so that you all aren't sitting at your computer until the end of time. So first, if you'll indulge me, I would like to share a little bit about myself and my ties to Sedona. That way you have a better idea of who it is that's speaking to you through your speakers. Then we're going to go into the meat of the matter and talk about what a P.A.D. is, and then a number of topics that our tenants have brought up that are governed by our P.A.D. zoning rules and regulations that everybody thinks could use a little bit of tweaking to help provide the opportunity, more of an opportunity for our tenants to thrive and do well in business. As I said, my name is Rodney Bowden. I am the general manager at the Collective, and I got into real estate development after a somewhat of a different professional career. I started at Johns Hopkins University with a degree in psychology and finished out with 2 master's degrees at the W.P. Carey School of Business. My wife and I have a small collection of older Porsches that we are restoring, and we have 3 dogs and 2 cats that are our children at the moment. And historically, I have always loved to go fast, and so here are some photos of me doing some of my favorite things. Most importantly, though, you should know my beautiful wife Stephanie is my world, and to us, Sedona is perhaps the most important place on the planet. It's where we got married back in September of 2017, and will forever hold Sedona as a very, very special place in our hearts. And I take that into every day working at the Collective, doing everything I can to try and help my tenants succeed, but also work to meet the values that you all in the village hold so dear. To that point, if you'll indulge me just a little bit more, I wanted to show you a photograph of my bedroom in Phoenix. We have one thing on the wall, and that is a photograph of the night sky above Sedona the night that we got married. And with that, I hope you'll understand the relevance of it, as the night sky is so important to our community, and I'm not just some outsider that doesn't care about it either. So thank you for bearing with me through that. Let's get into the real stuff. So a P.A.D. stands for Planned Area Development. Many of you have heard of commercial zoning or multifamily zoning or residential or this or that. P.A.D. is in place of all of that, and they usually do it for bigger developments such as ours that may have a number of different uses. As you know, we have retail, we've got restaurants, we've got the Hilton has their hotel up further up. So that's what it's used for. And in that, there are lots of rules and regulations that have been put in place. There is a benefit in that some of the rules and regulations can be flexible, and we have the ability to, through a P.A.D. amendment process, suggest some rules and regulations that we think would be helpful. And that's what we're doing here. This is a screenshot of my computer with 2 of the 6 or 7 folders open that have all of the files for our P.A.D. As you can see, there's a lot of them, And because we've had several owners over the course of the past 16, 17 years since the collective first opened as Tequa Marketplace, there are a lot of hands in the pot, so to speak, or hands in the cookie jar. And it's clunky. Some of the documents contradict each other, and we think that it is of great value to us and our tenants for us to clear up some of the clunkiness. The other thing that people need to know about for this conversation is what a special use permit is. And what a special use permit does is it gives rights to do something to a property that is zoned in a way that would not necessarily allow that thing to happen by right. In our case, our events are special use permitted. We couldn't, without a special use permit, have any events outdoors at the collective. Right now, we have to go through a process every 5 years, and we have to use resources and time and bug the county in order for them to renew our event permit. When it was first put into place back in 2007, I think that the people who were in charge of the collective at that time didn't really have the vision that we do as to what the center could be used for best. And they only asked for 10 events in the courtyard, and then every other event that we are allowed to have must be held in the dirt lot in the back. We are limited to the number of events that we can hold to 30. There is the potential that we could have up to 50 days of events, but we would have to be having 10 3-day events in order to do that. As you can see, I'm sure I confused a bunch of you. It's a little funky and it doesn't really flow very well, but it also doesn't meet the vision we have for the property. We have a number of initiatives that we're trying to launch and trying to get traction with. But when we constantly have to go to the county and ask permission or beg forgiveness or whatever needs to happen, we have trouble, and it wastes resources, and it doesn't really motivate us to keep doing that. So, for example, I want you to take a look at this list, and I just want to draw a couple to the front. One, you can see ice skating rink for the holidays, and then you can see a farmer's market, and then you can also see movies in the courtyard. So these are 3 big ones that we want to try and launch. And if we do it right, we would have an ice skating rink open for almost 6 weeks during the holidays. And then a farmer's market, if that's running 2 days a week for a number of, let's say 6 months out of the year during the busy season, we're suddenly up in way above 100 days of events per year. So we are going to be presenting an ask for the ability to, by right in our P.A.D, do 150 days of events. That would be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday of pretty much every week of the year. Do I think that there would ever be actually 150 events? I doubt it. That's or 150 days of events. I doubt it. It's a pretty lofty goal. But we would hate to be limited by our P.A.D if great ideas and traction happen. So we're asking for that. And the discussion, there was a little bit of pushback from some people. There was a lot of support from others. So we'll tweak that and be happy to answer any questions people may have on that moving forward. The next topic we brought up was the state of our current monument signs. This is a photograph of the northernmost monument sign that we have, and right now it calls out some of the uses we have on the property. And you can see on the map here where the proposal for the monument sign was in the original P.A.D amendment that allowed it. Unfortunately, since then, some new construction has happened, and there are transformers blocking the view of that sign. And we did recently find out that those transformers may have been put in to support the Tesla station that was installed on the north end of our property. And we will be talking with APS about whether they can move the transformers and what needs to be done there. However, in the event that they can't do that, I want to show you this video here. And this is me driving down 179. Don't worry, I'm paying attention. I'm going the speed limit, and I'm not texting and driving. But as you come up on the north end of the property, you see transformers, 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 and then the sign comes and goes before it can be of any use. The reason I show you that is that if we can't do something about the transformers, we would like permission to move that sign to a different location further down the property so that it can actually be of some use. That was met with no opposition, really. People seem to think that that would be fine. Again, all of this is pending design review and the specifics, but the general concept of moving that a little bit was not resisted. We have several businesses that have frontage at the property, and then we also have a number of businesses in the back. And when I say in the back, I mean in the G building tucked back by the Hilton, and then around the courtyard. Here is some information about the sign code, or from the sign code. And on the left, if you look, you're allowed to have 32 square foot maximum per business. It must be over a door. You cannot split signs, meaning you can't take 16 square feet of one sign and 16 square feet of another and put it together over different doors. If you don't have any room over a door, it's bad luck, but you are allowed to put stickers in windows that advertise for you. However, they tend not to be very visible. The reason I bring this up is if you take a look at these two photographs from our courtyard, we have the panorama on the left and the up-close shot on the right. There is nowhere, as you can see, to put a sign up over a door that has any visibility at all for these three suites. And that's not even mentioning the ones that are in the back of the building. The issue we have here is that we are also not allowed to use other space, such as the space on the front of the walkway that makes the first floor roof and the second floor floor. For example, where these lights are hanging down, if we're not allowed to put a sign there to advertise a business that's behind there. This is internal, that you can't see this from the road no matter what you do. So you have to, this is all for internal navigation. People seem to think that there was not an issue with us trying to push to be able to have signs out further into the courtyard that allow these businesses in the back to have their signs. So that was good. We're pleased to hear that. And that conversation is ongoing, of course, and it is, as I've said with everything else, pending design review. Another similar problem happens with our E200 suite. This is currently where Omar Kenny has his Bay Equity Home Loan business. Omar has two doors, one in the front that is facing where the future home of Snap Fitness will be and the Sedona Health Spot is, and one that's up above J Wine Bistro facing out into the back parking lot. Neither of those walls are visible from the road. And currently, he's stuck with the conundrum: does he advertise his business towards the inside of the property and hope to get people walking around that see it, or does he put it out towards the parking lot? He's not allowed to do both, and we would like for him to have that capability if he'd like to. This was another initiative that was met with positive results. People seemed to think that that was kind of a no-brainer, and we were pleased about that. So we will be asking for that moving forward. Another thing that is on a similar note is our multiple businesses in one building issue. Right now, you can see the Yavapai County Planning and Zoning Ordinance says when two or more businesses occupy one building with common entrances, they shall be considered one business for sign computation purposes. So we are again giving people who are in a building with other businesses a distinct disadvantage for letting the world know about their business and where they are. Um, Following that, if you look on the front of our B building here, you can see the words galleries and shops. And then on the back, you'll see that there is no lettering at all. And that back piece is facing into a back parking lot. You can't see that anywhere from the road. We aren't allowed to have signage on the back of that building if we have it on the front, and vice versa, which to us, especially as it's facing internally and you can't see it from the road, is a bit of a disadvantage as well for the people in that shopping center. So we will be asking for the ability to put signs on the back side of our property. Um, and that was also generally met with positive responses. It seems that the concern in the community is mostly revolving around signs facing the road that they have to see and that sort of thing. So, as long as we're following the rules on the front end, people seem to be fairly supportive of us being able to do something else on the back, even if we have to shrink the sign on the front a little bit so we can put one on the back. Anyway, we will be coming up with some specific requests to that topic based on the conversations we had in these meetings. A couple of things that we're working on now that we are allowed to do within the current P.A.D. We are switching our monument signs back to having our tenant names. We are getting rid of the uses that are on there now. For example, instead of saying Cucina Rustica and Corner Table and Bear Cloud Gallery, right now it says restaurants and art galleries and spa, etc. So we were making that change, and we are also making some adjustments to the Hilton sign. These are very, very preliminary drawings and shouldn't be taken as gospel. But in the original P.A.D., we were supposed to be able to use the bottom half of the sign while leasing out the top half to the Hilton. Despite the fact that the Hilton is the largest thing on there, that sign does actually belong to the Collective Sedona, which some of you may not have known. But we are working with them to get that done as well, which we think will be a big help. And with that, I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for your concern, and thank you for your input if you were one of the villagers that came out to have a discussion with us about our plans. I look forward to hopefully seeing most of you on February 11th at 10 a.m. in the B building, which is the blue building that says Galleries and Shops at the Collective. We will be having the final round of conversations with the community before we start the official P.A.D. amendment process. For those of you who don't know, the process involves a presentation to the Big Park Regional Coordinating Council, where they will vote on our suggestions and give us feedback. Our intention with doing these community meetings is to get this down to a point where we feel like the community members will agree with what we've done, and that way we can kind of go right into working with the county and having a public hearing process. Nothing, as you can see, that we're talking about is major. These are all just little tweaks, and we'll be cleaning up a lot of the language in the current documents. So stay tuned, more to come. I look forward to February 11th. Thank you again. Take care, and hope to see you around the property sometime soon. My contact information will be in the text surrounding this presentation. Take care. Bye-bye. Next topic we discussed was wayfinding around the property. For those of you who have been here a long time, you may actually get on property and know right where you want to go, whether you're going to get ice cream or you want to get some food, or you want to do some shopping, whatever. But people who are coming here for the first time get lost right off the bat. The current signage that we have is not set up very well, and we're quite limited as to what we can do. As you can see here, we have 3 definitions of different types of signs. Each one must be separate, and we need to ask for permission to have each one independently. What we'd like to do is have directional signs that are actually allowed to give business recognition as well. So for example, right now, you can't have a sign that says, Bear Cloud Gallery this way with an arrow pointing. You've got to have a directory sign that says that Bear Cloud Gallery exists, and then you can have an arrow pointing, but you're not allowed to call out what it's pointing at, basically. And we would like to, pending design review, of course, propose that we are allowed to change some of how those signs are put. Again, most of these are going to be interior, the kind of thing that nobody would see from the road, and also these are small signs. These aren't large, in your face kinds of things. These are for once people get on the property so that they have a clear way to get to whatever they're looking for. And